It is 8:10, Newstalk Sauga 960, Raw, Mike Richards. As you know, every Wednesday it is Arrows Up. I look outside, and this is, aside from some of the rain coming down, this is the kind of weather where if you're from Ontario, and certainly if you played high school rugby, this was the time, right? This is when you were ripping on guys, throwing down guys, bending their arms. I'm sorry, maybe that's not what everyone does, but it's what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And to announce, I believe, for the very first time as a Toronto Arrow, we're going to talk to Adrian Wadden, joining us here this morning, the newest member of your Toronto Arrows. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, guys.
Well, this is the first time you've officially been announced as an Arrows, and I see that Mark Winokur has gone out and got you a hat.
Yeah. You got me set up.
Well, I imagine in your dreams, don't hurt yourself, Mark. That is just tremendous. Now, tell people a little bit about yourself, because they should know you're a Lorne Park guy, so you're a Mississauga guy.
Yeah, I'm a Mississauga guy. I grew up here in South Mississauga, went to Lorne Park Secondary School, just like Andrew Ferguson, another guy on the Arrows.
Yep.
Started playing my rugby at Crusaders, and then eventually in the Blues, U18, U19. And then I went to MAC for a year and a half before moving out west to train with the national team.
So, no, when you went, was that one of the hub? Was that Victoria?
Yeah, that was Victoria.
Yep.
So we trained up in Langford.
Well, at some point, when you take a look at the makeup of the team, it's interesting that you mentioned some of the other players too, because there is, with I would say OUA, but I guess I'm saying U Sports now, the program with McMaster. A very good program, and so there are some ties that you have with other teammates, including, of course, the Ontario Blues, which really seems to be almost like the backbone of this team.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that's the way they wanted it. They wanted it to kind of be the same structure, the same setup, and a lot of the same people, so it stays a local club, and that makes it more accessible for the people. But with Mac, I mean, there's so many guys on the team that were there or are still studying there, like Bill Kelly, Mitch Richardson, Mike Shepard, Andrew Ferguson, Brower. There's so many guys on that team that went to MAC as well. So it's almost like you already know so many guys on the team. It's pretty special.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. Great talking to you this morning. Can you tell us how you and the Arrows decided that this was going to be a good time to come over right now? Was coming back home something that you kind of wanted to do, or had a destination in mind, and just maybe a little bit of the background between finally signing that deal with the team?
It was something I'd started looking into around Christmas time. I'd spoken with Dan Moore, who's vice captain on the team, and then he helped me reach out to Mark Winokur and Chris Silverthorne. So I reached out to them at Christmas, and they were interested. So then we kind of started that process. I went out to a couple of training sessions over Christmas. And then we just kind of kept in contact after I went back to England. But yeah, coming back here to play rugby was always kind of the plan, I guess. It was something I wanted to do, because when I left to move out west, or when I left to move to Victoria, the Arrows hadn't started up yet, and this wasn't really an opportunity. So moving to Victoria was just kind of the next logical step for rugby. It was really the only place I could play full time in the country. So then when this opportunity came up, I was already in Leeds, but I guess that was a couple of years ago, and this seemed like something I wanted to do, because I hadn't played rugby really in Toronto or in the GTA in so long that it was kind of, it means a lot playing here, because you get to play in front of friends and family. I didn't have the opportunity to do that over the last 5 years.
Now, when you were playing in Leeds, is that the Super Rugby League? What league was that you were playing in?
It's called BUCS Super Rugby. So it's the British University sport. So there could be teams in it from England, Wales, and Scotland. So there's 10 teams in the top tier. Then they have loads of leagues over there because there's so many teams. So we play in the top tier. So we'll play round robin play each team twice in the league, and that league goes from September through March. And then we have playoffs start after that. So you have quarter semis and then the finals, which my team was in last year, and we got to play at Twickenham, which was really special. That's the home of English rugby, for those who don't know.
Right.
So it's a massive stadium right down in London. It was amazing.
Now, also, so you would have played a lot of Welshmen, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
at that time, where that is, for anyone who knows anything about Wales, I mean, rugby is religion. I mean, it's just that and singing with coal miners. It's either one of the two things. So, did you enjoy your time over there? Did you like playing in that part of the world?
Yeah, I did. It was a lot of fun, but it was also very different from how I thought it would be. I guess I thought it would be a lot more similar to Canada. Being a Western country, they also speak English, but it was far from it. But I think that was part of the fun. It was really getting to experience something completely new and a little bit out of my comfort zone. The rugby at the university level is definitely a step up, just because it's comparable to hockey here. You've been playing since you can remember, right? Like, they put a ball in your hands as soon as you're able to run. And then there's just so many more people playing. And because it's a smaller country, it's easy to travel between. So you can really play everyone at the same time. It's not like you need to get on a flight to play the best team in Saskatchewan or Alberta or BC. So yeah, it was fun. It was a good experience, and I'm happy I did it.
So what kind of attendance would something like that like what kind of stadiums would you be playing in front of?
Mostly we'll just play on the university campuses.
Yeah.
But you can get some pretty big crowds, because I mean, even if just the rugby club comes out, I think in our rugby club we had 6 teams last year, all competing. So you can get some pretty good big crowds. But the biggest one is varsity match every year. It's like a local derby between us and Leeds University. And there'll be like, I think maybe we had 13,000 there this year.
Oh,
it's wild.
wow,
Like,
okay.
we play in the big stadium and where Yorkshire Carnegie and Leeds Rhinos play out of, right in the heart of Headingley, which is near our Headingley campus. It's incredible. It's loud. The fans get rowdy. They keep the students separate because they can't have them together. There's such a good rivalry there. And that game is always a highlight every year. Like, it's always one of the highs of the year. It's a lot of fun, and I'm happy to say we won it all 3 years out there.
Oh, it's fantastic. Now, isn't also no, I don't know in the realm of university, but isn't Wigan as a town, isn't that a real hotbed for rugby as well?
I think they have a big rugby league team there, but I'm not sure. We didn't play against them because that's outside Liverpool. But I think that's a big rugby league town. Anything in the north of England that's rugby league country.
Is rugby league. Now,
Yeah.
you said, it's a big departure from when you went over there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just curious of the things that were sort of weird to you when you went there. Is there anything that you miss, including something that you would eat over there that you can't get back here? Is there something that you actually miss?
Oh, there's loads of things I missed. That's a good question. What? I guess I miss beer being really cheap. That was always a benefit when you're a student over there and you're trying to scrape by. Is there anything? I mean, I miss Nando's. It's not the same over here.
Really?
That was always quality. Yeah, Nando's is good. Like, anytime. And then I miss I Am Donner. There's this Donner place right around the corner from my house. I mean, they have loads of them over there, but it's unbelievable. Like, anytime you just want something like greasy after a night out, or you just want something that'll fill you up, it hits the spot every time.
Well, that's awesome. And when so you make your trip back here, and obviously we're in the middle of one of the worst pandemics in the history of our lifetime, and hopefully nothing ever exceeds what we're going through right now. How have you been, I guess, preparing for next season? Next season is still a little bit away, but there is some talk that there could be some exhibition matches. They're hoping by the end of summer, maybe into the fall. What have you been doing to keep busy for the last couple of months?
Well, I've been lucky. My parents have some weights in the basement. They got a full rack of weights, so I can train almost the same as I was kind of doing beforehand. I mean, I can't do anything with anyone else, which is kind of a shame, but I think I'm lucky in that aspect that I can do most things. I can go out for a run. There's a park across the street from the house. I guess that also means no excuses for coming back out of shape.
True.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've just been trying to keep busy. Like, you just try to get on the schedule. I mean, I barely remember what day of the week it is unless, I'm working out. So I think it kind of helps me stay sane while there's nothing going on.
Now you'll be a lock. Is that sort of a position that you're used to, that you're comfortable playing?
Yeah, I've been playing only lock the last 3 years at Beckett.
Well, as I said, when we talk to and the teammates that you'll get to know, like aside from and again because of the isolation, I imagine there'll be a lot of guys that you actually haven't met yet, right? I mean, there's going to be members of that team that you don't quite know.
There's going to be a few, but really I know most of them because it really is a local team. So it's all guys from around that I've either played Blues with or have met through the Blues or played club rugby with or against. I mean, a few of the international boys I'll have to get to know. But I met a lot of them when I trained with them a couple of times over Christmas as well. Okay. So I really don't think it'll be that big adjustment period. I know all the coaches, I know the players. So I think that part of it is kind of comfortable and familiar.
Well, as I said, this is such a strange time. And David mentioned, a pandemic. The world basically stops, and then of course you have the issues of racial tension, and of course, as it's been specific to Minnesota, and we see it, south of the border. But really, it's a worldwide thing, and it's not like racism doesn't exist in everywhere. Was that much of an issue? Did you find being over in school in London you're outside of London, but in England itself, did you find that was much of a conversation? Because for a lot of times when you play at a certain level of sport, people sometimes are almost more concentrated on the sport itself and not social issues.
I mean, it wasn't much of a conversation, but maybe now we're realizing that it should be. It's something you should talk about, but it's hard for me to comment on it because, I mean, right now, I guess you realize that just being a white male, I really just need to be listening and trying to figure out what I can do to help and recognize my own biases. It's hard for me to really say because it really wasn't a conversation, but maybe it should have been more of one.
Yeah, and that's kind of what was just said about 40 minutes ago from the head coach and general manager of the Mississauga Steelheads, is that maybe the biggest fault is not having that conversation, is not thinking about others, and that seems to be, and hopefully, the end result of what happens. Well, we certainly look forward, Adrian, to you playing for the Arrows. We were all so excited, after the great start they had on the road, but the expectations are huge, and the great thing is, as you said, the coaching staff, the players, so you know that this season coming up, the expectations still are going to be super high.
Yeah, definitely. They put those expectations on themselves too. Like, I've been talking to Winnie on the phone quite a bit, and I mean, he's excited. He's been talking to the boys. Everyone's excited to get back to it because they feel like they were at the start of something special this season. They obviously got cut short, so they're just hoping to keep that rolling over next season.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Well, look, congratulations on landing the job with the Toronto Arrows. This is just a superlative team, and as I said, we can't wait to see you actually get on the pitch. So congratulations, and thanks so much for joining us this morning. It's been a real pleasure, Adrian.
Thanks, boys.
That is Adrian Wadden.